In my 30 years in Washington, I've really never seen anything like this. And I think right now we're all just trying to get our heads around what just happened. And my conversations with members of Congress, they were terrified on that day. I mean, they were at risk. Their lives were at risk. And so I think that's the takeaway. I think the good thing, though, on the positive side is that despite the Capitol breach, our democratic system held. Congress finished its work that day, that very same night, to certify the election. And right now, despite the security concerns, I think with federal law enforcement, both state and local, at the ready, I think we're poised for a peaceful transition of power. And I think that's the key point when we're talking about the market. The market saw that our democratic system held, and so that's why you haven't seen these big gyrations.
Andy, let's focus on that transition. The markets saw that our democratic institutions, they held up, but they've also heard some talk from the Biden administration about potential tax increases. So can you talk to me about just some foresight here from you? How do you see tax increases impacting the markets? And are there any other potential policies that could have a dramatic impact on the markets?
So I think you're zeroing in on the right point here. But let me first start with the fact that the headline here, the real headline, is that Democrats won the Senate. And with Democrats winning the Senate, that gives the Biden administration a chance to actually implement some of its agenda. And as you know, Frank, he is totally focused on COVID-19, and that means COVID-19 relief. We expect that package to be larger than it would have otherwise been in a split government, and we expect it to give state and local government help as well as more relief for individuals. We also think, and even though we had 40 plus, infrastructure weeks during the Trump administration, I think we can actually get infrastructure relief. And then that comes to your question on tax increases. Because you're going to have to pay for infrastructure relief, you're going to need some tax increases. And we think first in line, corporate taxes. And so depending on how much they want to do, how big the package is, you could also move to some personal taxes as well. So we see that a little bit later in the year.
So, Andy, speaking of paying for this infrastructure plan that we're all expecting to see come, do you see any parts of the market that would especially benefit from that? I mean, I would imagine industrials, materials, but are there any other parts that you think would see a boost from this infrastructure package?
So any growth stocks, I think that's basically you're putting the reflation trade back on. And with that, I think with COVID-19 relief, infrastructure, it's all in that direction. And I think the tax increase part really comes in on the back end of that.
So I think we all want to look forward, but we do have to take a step back and talk about this impeachment. Proceeding or just being dropped either way, which one would have a bigger impact on the markets in your opinion?
Well, I don't really think impeachment is the story when it comes to the markets. But it does look like impeachment will not only be the story that dominates the last days of the Trump presidency, it could also be the story that dominates the beginning of the Biden presidency. And the key here is to make sure that if they do impeachment, that it doesn't get in the way of the Biden agenda. And I know on your previous report with Eamon talking about there being some concern about that. Congressman Clyburn has mentioned, hey, let's do impeachment in the House and let's wait 100 days. That's going to be hard to do. But it's out there just in case they think it's going to get in the way of the agenda. I think they can walk and chew gum at the same time, but we'll see.
So you're saying it's not a big deal, or it's not the big story when it comes to D.C. and the markets. You're saying it's the Senate flipping over. But we're not going to really see the impact of that for at least some time because stimulus is going to happen. I think we already thought that the Senate, whether it was Republican-controlled or Democrat-controlled, would go forward with stimulus. So what other things do you see this Democrat-controlled Senate doing that might shake up the markets or move them higher or move them lower?
Yes, Frank. I think first and foremost, it allows President Biden to get his cabinet in place quickly. With Democrats in control, he's pretty much assured to get most, if not all, of his people in place. Once his people in place, that's going to help him with the functioning of government. And then with COVID-19 relief, I think there is a difference between a split government and a Democratic-controlled government in the Senate, is that you're going to get more. You're going to get more. And so the market's going to like that, the fact that it's going to be more fiscal relief than less, and especially with state and local governments getting relief and small businesses and individuals.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.